Welcome back. You're still watching World Inside with me, Tian Wei. The program is coming to you live on CGTN. The Belt and Road Initiative is being brought to the world in a new era of globalization. The need to act in times of transition is as relevant as ever. How does the BRI fit into the new world order or the ever-changing picture of how the development is being done on a global basis? In today's episode of our special series, An Updated Vision, we review China's diplomatic strategies, but more importantly, how countries along the Belt and Road Initiative will be able to work together for their win-win situation. We talked to Hu Shisheng, Director of the Institute of South and Southeast Asian and Oceanian Studies at the China Institute of Contemporary International Relations. Let's listen in. Competition of ideas and roadmaps among some of the major players of the world in the region, Indo-Pacific, for example, Belt and Road, and the list goes on. Mr. Hu, how do you see the competition between these apparently strategic ideas? What does that mean for us?
Any country during the rising process, I think that they have their own promotion of their own ideology, own initiative, own contribution to the bigger, in a larger sense that is a global governance, to the smaller sense that is to regional contribution, the regional governance. So at the present stage, of course, what China can do within his capability is more contribution to regional governance. The area China is located is so geostrategically important because it's congested with so many major powers like US and US allies, and also like an emerging country like India, and also the traditional military power like Russia, and also like the very influential, we call nation group, ASEAN countries. They all have their own rules to play in this region. So when China, during the rising process, want to get respected or accepted by all these key players in the same congested region, China has to make some ideas out of the box. So I personally believe that the Belt and Road Initiative is one of it.
We see the rhetorics related to the Belt and Road, if you look at the headlines of so-called international media, has been really changing dramatically. Is China looking at its original proposal and having a second thought of it? Or is China sticking to its original plan, no matter what the so-called tunes of the stories is in the rest of the world?
And when initiating the Belt and Road plans, the basic purpose for this government is, of course, to sustaining the Chinese economic development for another 30 years or more than 40 years. Because I can label it as a fourth round of liberation of Chinese production forces, or first round of reforms. That is, China has to go abroad. But how to go abroad in a more disciplined way, in a more systematic way? So that is a Belt and Road Initiative will play the role in this regard. But during the process, you can see that this kind of initiative, if we want it to be successful, not only China will win. It should be a win-win situation. It doesn't mean that China will win twice. It means balanced win to all of us. It is only in this kind of circumstances that we can see Belt and Road Initiative can be successful, can also bring more constructive changes to not only to China but also to China's surroundings. That is also why in the past 5 years it become more and more welcome.
How can China and what can China do to make sure that more will have the confidence in the BRI? If there's suspicion about this platform, there's suspicion about China is having the win-win, meaning double win, then there might be hesitation. It's just natural. Mr. Hu.
Of course it is natural, because since that, especially between a giant like China, major power, and also a smaller country, for example, like Sri Lanka or Maldives. There is some suspicion, but the most important thing should be understood that China is providing a new alternative for any developing countries to get much more developed. We know that if in the past, they have some model like WB model, IMF model, all these developing countries have tried. They have their own melodies for that. But frankly speaking, none of those developing countries got developed under the IMF remedy or the WB remedy. So now China had put forward another choice. Of course, you cannot that make achievement at free cost. There must be some cost, but you have to balance the short-term pain and the long-term rewarding. But now that, of course, because of this kind of media hype or Western's allegations, the smaller nations, especially some countries under the influence of some major powers, their mind got disturbed by those allegations. They hadn't still understanding in a comprehensive way what is the Chinese philosophy on development.
So what is, Mr. Hu, the biggest issue here? Is it the biggest issue that China needs to more efficiently communicate exactly the goals and the end game and the intentions this country has toward the so-called Belt and Road Initiative? Or is it that there's much bigger than that? What is likely to be the next step, you think, that China is likely to face?
Next, of course, the Belt and Road Initiative have already passed in 5 years. Yes. We have to, at least. Now this year we'll held the second Belt and Road Forum. So we have to study the past cases. We have to study the past 5 years' experiences and lessons. We also have to carefully study the allegations from the developed economies. They also must have some important things inside it. So to learn from the lessons and listen carefully the criticism and allegations from others so that we can readjust, so that make our future development of Belt and Road Initiative can be stepped in the right direction. Not only benefit China, but also benefit the host countries.
That's the goal, isn't it, as China stated at the very beginning?
Of course, that is the beginning goal. But of course, sometimes you have a very good design, good wish, but during the process of practice, maybe intercourse some differences or difficulties or differences, even some resistance. That is quite natural because no country in this world tried this. Sometimes I just advising my foreign friends, please be patient, give China some time. But why the Westerners are so short-tempered, especially U.S. short-tempered? Because he saw the future end. He saw that China was using this as a platform or springboard for getting a global influence for China. So before China gets becoming successful, he wants to make more troubles.
In China, there is also the debate, Mr. Hu, whether it is cost efficient. I mean, if you look at the Belt and Road Initiative, China has been putting a lot of investment, and therefore there is a cost-efficient question about it. How do you see that question is being played out at a time when the world is transforming and China is searching for its own identity?
Since that this is China's first time in such a larger scale going abroad, and also promoted and policy supported by the government, this is the first time. I think that from the top level, from the governmental level, I don't believe that we have that kind of rich experiences. Or from the private sector, they have experiences in some area, but most of the experiences cannot be copied. So that is why China practicing Belt and Road Initiative in different countries by following different policies. That is also why we will be criticized that, okay, your Belt and Road Initiative, no rule-based. But why we have to follow some rules? Because all the past rules not so successful in helping those areas which now Belt and Road Initiative measuring passing through. We call it economic developmental depression area. So now we have to follow on the ground conditions, the specific conditions, different conditions, maybe different policies. But we are more result-oriented. Yeah. If it is more efficient, it can bring development benefits, then could be that is okay. But of course, during the process, there must be need more adjustment or readjustment during the process.
But they would argue that yes, rule-based system might not be the best choice and the most efficient at any time given. However, they would argue the rule-based system could be one that could prevent, for example, corruption, for example, exploration of the natural resources.
We will have some guiding principles like mutual consultation, right, joint construction, and share the benefits. This is a guiding principle. But how to practice this guiding principle, but different places, different time, there should be some specific different policies. Otherwise, they will be very difficult. For example, IMF has saved Pakistan in the past so many years, at least 14 times. But still Pakistan is plugged into or stuck into debt crisis for so many years. Haven't saved that country, haven't solved addressing the rooted causes of the problem. Now what Belt and Road Initiative that we want to address in the basic causes, we're not only helping you, we will mainly focus on helping you to step on your own feet. We're providing a sounded basis for your future economic development. But we know that at least the most part of this area covered by the Belt and Road Initiative is not run or governed on market economic rules. So we have to find the Chinese way. We have to building up some pilot projects so that to generate some lessons or to formulate gradually some rules.
But you know, Mr. Hu, here's one thing that is very important we haven't mentioned. That is, China is such a significant country, not only regionally, but also globally, that it becomes such a factor, in a way, in the policy-making process of many countries. Mr. Hu, how do you look at that phenomenon, that China has become such a major player that will have an impact on a lot of countries' own plan for its future?
Of course, China is now is the number 2 major power in the world. So China's policies cannot only have internal influence, must have global influence, and even sometimes become one factor of the others' internal political struggling or even development agenda. So this is quite natural, just like the US. We often label US as the neighbors of all countries. So China is moving in that direction. So that means that in the future, whatever China's suggestions or ideas, the policy-making institutions or persons have to take a second thinking what the others will think about it. And then will help us to make a policy that is more comprehensive, more considerated. I think we are moving in that direction because in the past we never tried. We're just closing our doors or just doing our business. But now it is not only Chinese business. Sometimes your policies really have global impact. So
China, Mr. Hu, according to you, is on a learning curve.
Of course, that even the US, even Japan, we know that in the 1970s, last century, in the 1970s, Japan's image in ASEAN countries very bad, very negative. But now, very popular.
Can China be a fast learner?
I think that China is a fast learner, even especially CCP is the most fast learner party in the world, I can say. The success of China's reform is just a result of the learning from others, learning from any kind of experiences in the history, in the present world, from any others which we can learn from. Well, we are keen learner or quick learner, yeah.
Mr. Hu, what a pleasure seeing you. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure too.
And that is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to see more, try to find us World Inside CGTN into your search engine or check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Sina Weibo. From Mi Tianwei and everyone on the World Inside team, thanks for watching and tune in again next time for insights across China and around the world. Good night.